You ready?
I think we are ready. Go live, and then you can start.
Okay. Um, okay. Well, welcome everyone. I am Christy, and for today's Pyladies presentation, I will be talking about Python's Pandas library. There we go. Um, has anyone used this? Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is going to be very basic, so some of you, I don't, you might not be super interested, but um, okay. So this is a package that I use a lot for pretty much everything that I do. I pretty much always start with pandas. Um, okay, so this is the agenda. We will go through like the installation, um, some of like the structures, loading data, manipulating it, and so on. And all right, so what is Pandas? Pandas is a Python library for manipulating and analyzing data. So I work in data science. I use a lot of Excel things that I want to do more advanced analysis with. So I will use Pandas to bring it into um, my Python environment, and it's an easy, I think, like transition from Excel to Pandas data frames because they kind of resemble each other. It's built on top of NumPy. I don't know if that's important or not, but I did chat GPT. I said, build me a present PowerPoint presentation for pandas, and this is what came up.
Nice.
I mean, I elaborated on it, but okay. So obviously, first you want to make sure that you have Python installed. Um, I am going to be using Spider. It's part of the Anaconda package, and it's actually, I think it actually comes with Anaconda when you download it. So I have a link there if you want to download it, and I will open Spider. Some people prefer IPython. Let's see here. Are you able to see it on? Are you seeing Spider on
I am.
there? Interesting. I
Is it?
here maybe I need to, here. I'll come out of the presentation. Maybe that's what's causing the problem. Okay.
Oh, you were just sharing the one tab, so it wasn't.
No, I was sharing everything.
I don't know why.
But I was in presentation mode on PowerPoint, whatever. Okay, so this is Spider. It's I like this IDE. I think it's called an IDE or text editor. I'm not really sure. Because you can, see both the script, and down here you can do things like one-off, and you can get previews and stuff like that. So I personally like this. It kind of reminds me of R Studio if you also use R. So I am going to open my Pandas script. Okay. So if you don't have Pandas installed, the first time that you use it on your computer, you're going to want to do pip install pandas. I did double check the website, the Spider website, and it did say to use that, but sometimes I see they recommend using Conda to install it, which is like the Anaconda command window. I've used pip install pandas before and it's worked. But anyway, so only have to do that for the first time, but then every time that you come in, you're going to need to import all of your packages. So I just highlight and hit F9, and then I want to set my working directory. So that's just giving it the path to where all my files are. And okay. So we've done the basic stuff there. Stop me if you have any questions. You are probably the only one. Okay, so Pandas handles series, like A, B, C, D, E, random, whatever, and data frames. I basically just deal with data frames, though I guess series are kind of part of data frames. So for loading data, there are there's a few ways to make data frames. You can either just like straight up write code to make a data frame. So this is an example. This is in the appendix, so you guys can use this later if you want. But if you just want to do it this way, it's very easy to just start putting in some data. You name the column and then put in the values for that column. And you do that for each column. And then in this case, they are creating the index with everyone's names. That's just an example I got off the internet. So normally if you don't define an index, it just does 0, 1, 2, 3. But I can't tell you that I have ever really built a data frame from scratch in Python in the real world. For the most part, I am pulling in Excel files or CSV files. So let me.
You'd want to do that if it was a pretty small data set,
Yeah.
not a huge.
If you just need some test data, maybe, or something. Okay. So I have 2 files. These are from another training that I took, so I figured they'd be safe to use. They are, I think it's like bike usage in the UK or something like that. And there's 2 files. There's one that is the station that they started from, and it counts the number of times that people started from that station. I gave it an ID as well because I want to show you how to merge these files. But so we've got one that has the start station information and one that has the end station information. So okay, so I just want to show you those. You can't have them open when you try to upload them to Spider because they'll give you an error message. So the first one I have in the CSV format. So Pandas has a really easy read_CSV function. I left this pretty basic. There's a lot of other features, like all of these are different things that you can customize within the import if you want. But for the most part, you're just bringing in the file. In this case, I wanted, instead of the standard 0, 1, 2, 3 index, I wanted to make the ID that I had created as the index. So I will bring this in. And then these, I tend to do this. It's probably overkill, but this is how I work. I'm a very visual person. So after sorry, you can see down here that it's run successfully. Once you see the next prompt, it's showing that it's run successfully. So what I like to do is look at the first few rows of data to make sure that it looks like it came in correctly. So you just take the data frame name. So in this case, I named it starts. So starts.head is the function. And that will give you the first 5 rows of data. You can also do shape to see how many rows and columns the data frame has. And I was using this. So this is pulling the unique values from the index, and I wanted to make sure that that matches the number of rows, because I was finding in some cases it did not. In this case, thankfully it does. So we're good there. Now I'm going to bring in the end file. So this one I saved as an Excel, just as an example of another way to bring it in. Again, it's just read _ Excel, and there are these lots of different ways that you can customize the import. But in this case, it's just pretty straightforward. So I will bring that in.
And you probably said this, and I'm just not remembering. So to bring it over, you said it's F9?
Yeah,
okay.
It used to be Shift Enter, and they recently changed it to F9, and I don't know why. Okay, so I'm going to look at the same for the end file, just make sure it came in as I expected. Okay, so this one has 882 rows, and I want to see how many unique rows it has. 879. So I didn't realize you can have an index more than once. Like the same index is coming in twice. That was news to me. But I wanted to look at it. I'd figured out which one it was, and you can see this row is in there twice, once with a capital R for road and once with the lowercase r for road. So this will come in later. But for now, we're basically going to be using the starts file until we bring in the end file later. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. Data manipulation. So it's a little tricky sometimes in Pandas because they use .iloc and loc to access the columns and the rows. There's a little summary in here. You can either do it by labels or by integers. The purpose of .loc is when it's labels, and .iloc is when it's integers that you're slicing things by. So if we just want to see, but if you just are pulling up one column, I guess you don't need the loc. And I think that's standard Python. I think the iloc and loc is kind of because of pandas. So anyway, so I know that I have a column named num in the starts data frame, and I just want to see what values are in there. So I'm just gonna run that, and it'll give you like the first 5 and the last 5, and again it tells you the length. Okay, but here is where I say I don't know the exact name of the column, or I have a bunch of columns in a row and I want to do like a range. In this case, I don't have enough to do a range. So if I did, I would just put in like range that might. First, okay, so this is because we're using integers. You need to use iloc, and the first before the comma is the rows that you want, and after the comma is the columns that you want. If you want all of the rows, you just put in the colon, and this 1 to 2 is just going to give you the range. So let's see if that works. Yeah, it does. Okay. So it only brought in 1 column because that was the range anyway. So that's accessing it by column. If you want to look at specific rows, Because I made the index an ID, I did that partially so that we can show this. The ID is actually a string. So you're going to want to use loc and hurts. Okay, so it's pulling up that first, or that the instance where the ID is A101, and it lists it, then like the columns go down. So the first column has the station name, the second column has the number that started there. If you want to do a range, again, you would use the iloc, and in this case, we're going to get the first 3 rows, and then it puts it in the data frame format. If you want to get a specific cell, you can do that as well. So I want to find the value of A101's starts. Again, tarts. So this will bring in just the value for that field. And again, you can do the same by slicing and dicing by the integers. And in this case, I'm bringing up the first 3 rows and only column 0. So the first column. Any questions on slicing, indexing, all that? It's not, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward, but if you haven't used it in a while, you tend to forget you need to use the iloc and the loc, because I think standard Python, you don't need that, right? I don't know. I pretty much always use pandas, so it's hard for me to say. Okay, so let's look at manipulating or looking at the data a little bit more. Say you want to see all of the start locations that had more than 100,000 starting activity. However you say that. So the way that it's formatted, it's almost like you're wrapping the filter information within the entire data frame. So you're putting the whole like expression of here's the data frame, the column, and then the condition that I want, and then you're wrapping that all within the data frame itself. And that will then give you a list of everything that's over 100,000. So it's really useful for, subsetting. If you want to subset, you can then save this to a different variable, and that will create a new data frame. So that's really useful. Okay, if you want to add a column, so this is really a nonsense thing. It's just for showing demonstration purposes. If you want to add a column, all you have to do is basically create the name that you want. So in this case, I'm just giving it a rating. And then you give all of the values that you want. Yeah, so because I only have one value, it's just going to give 5 to everything. But I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to print it. And so you can see now you've got a new column called rating, and it's all populated. So, obviously that's not a very useful example, but you could have some other column for some reason that you want to add with the actual number of rows or something. Now let's say you want to get rid of a column. In this case, so there's this thing with pandas where sometimes it will save what you've done directly into your data frame, and other times you have to tell it to do that. Otherwise, it's just showing it to you and not actually saving it. So in here, I'm showing kind of the 2 different ways of doing that. So The data frame dot drop is the function, and in this case, I would want to. I'm going to start it from here. So if I don't save it into the same data frame, if I just go like this, it's showing you what you want over on the right. So it dropped that column. But if you were to look at the data frame itself, you'll see it's still there. So to get around that, you can either save it back to itself, or, and this might not actually like it now. Or here, let me put this back in. Okay. Or you can add this in place equals true, and then that'll do it directly into the same data frame. So now you can see that it works that way. And that's useful in multiple different functions. So
this might be a dumb question. If I wanted to choose certain rows to get a certain number in that last, like if I wanted to pick certain rows, anything over 10,000 gets a rating of 5.
yes.
How would you choose certain rows to apply that to within that column?
Okay. Let me think about that. I think what you would do. Let me try this. We'll see. We'll just play around. We'll see. Okay. You want it for all of those. We're giving it a rating of what? 4? Yeah. Okay. So I'm not exactly sure if this is. No, that's fine. Like I tend to Google like everything because I have a horrible memory. Let's see here. I wonder. Oh. Do you guys know?
Rating.
So I think you have to do the equals for 1 and assign it. And then, does that make sense?
You want to write it? It's on this room. Did you say map? Yeah, I'm really bad with that.
You said you wanted to do.
So for everything that has more than 100,000, we're going to give it a rating of 4.
Okay, so.
I mean, we could iterate, I guess, but it seems like there's got to be a better way than iterating.
Sorry. I have all this script that I changed, but
Yeah, no,
That's
I'm
insane.
sorry.
yeah. If I can look
Here's
at
what we're gonna do.
like, sorry about that.
No,
I threw a wrench in the plans.
Well, I had it in my head that I was.
yeah, no. Okay, let's see here. Add
Probably.
to data frame value by condition.
DF? Is that what?
Oh,
Those are if that.
Oh, it's an if. What's the DF down there?
oh, DF is just the name of their data frame.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's a common name. Okay, so what they did is they did an iteration. Yeah. So that's
Okay.
no different than. I guess. Yeah. There's probably another way.
Other ways.
Yeah.
Just knowing all of that like structure starting with an empty list and appending to it basically just like copies the list. It gets messy as the list gets larger.
Right. And probably more computing time as big as the bigger it gets.
But yeah, this is how you would do it, I guess. You'd iterate through the if else.
Okay.
But it is I think it is just adding it's creating the column just with that. So
you go back, like
Yep.
you create it the same way, and then
yeah,
iterate on which ones you want.
yeah, you can like you're basically like creating the column as you're telling it what you want it to do.
Okay.
So you don't have to like separately do that.
All right. Sorry for the side.
That's fine. That is totally fine. Okay, so we removed. If you want to sort values, so in this file, everything is sorted descending based off of how many starts happened at that station. If you wanted to see it ascending, you could just use the sort underscore values function, and the ascending equals true is the default, so you really don't need to put that in there, but I did for demonstration purposes. And then this will sort it by that column. All right, so I'm gonna show this. I put this in there. So I know that there's a missing value in here because I deleted it out. So if you want to look for missing values, you can do it by the whole data frame or by column. In this case, it's just looking at the whole data frame because there's not much in there. So you can see if it is null, it's going to give it a true. So that's like another thing you can use for filtering. Like if is null equals true, then do something. If you want to drop everything that is missing values, then you would do the drop NA. This is one where you would need to assign it back to itself if you want to keep it. So I'm not keeping it in this case. I'm just showing that. So we see that A978 was the row that had this missing value. Since we said drop NA, now it's not in the data frame anymore. If instead of dropping it, we wanted to fill it with some value, in this case, I want to put in, you can put anything. You could put 0, you can put missing, whatever you want. So this fill NA is what you would see there. So now it shows NA. So instead of deleting it or dropping it or showing it as the default NaN, it's showing as NA. Because I want to show you something else later, I didn't want to save it that way. So just to show you, this is how the data frame is right now. It's using the default null notation. And that's what I want because I want to use it later. Okay, so there's a ton of stuff that you can do on these Pandas data frame. You can find, the mean of a column. You just put in the data frame and column that you want, .mean, and you will get the mean. Again, if you want to save that somewhere, you can just add it to a variable. You can get median. You can do sum, you can do average, you can do a bunch of stuff. If you want to just quickly look at the entire table, all the numeric fields in the entire table, which in this case is only one, unfortunately. Actually, here, let's add in that rating column just for fun. So if you just say dataframe.describe, it is going to give you the count, the mean, standard deviation, and these extra 5 points as well. So it'll do it on any column that you have a numerical value in. Okay, so that's like the basics of looking at the data, manipulating it, cleaning it up. Now you probably want to do something more with it. Before we can, so what I want to do is I want to bring in the end station counts and merge it in with the start ones so that we can get like a comparison. But if you remember, the ends table had that that duplicate value. So what I want to do is get it so it's just everything is a unique value. So I'm going to use the group by function. So I'm grouping by the ID. And if you use the .ag for aggregate, you could just do .sum, but if you did that, it would only give you it would only return the columns that it could give you a sum on. So in this case, I'm using aggregate and I'm saying for the end station name, I'm going to use the first one that appears. And then for the num field, I'm going to do the sum function. So this should keep everything, and then I'm putting it again back into itself. So, okay, before I do that, I just want to double check the numbers. Okay, so the current shape is 882. And we know that there are 879 unique values. So what I would expect after this is I would expect the ends table to have 879. So just confirm. Yep. That just combined those together and took the first name because it really didn't matter. Okay, so say you want to combine two frames. Normally, I use merge. Is that what you guys usually use? There's a .join as well, and I'm not really clear on what the difference between .merge and .join is. Okay, I always use .merge for the most part. Okay, so before I do the merge, I want to make sure that the names are consistent so that it only brings, here, let me show you what happens if we If we leave the names as they are, you are going to get everything. So you're merging so this is the left table, this is the right table, and then you're telling what you want it to merge it on. In this case, the ID and the station name, because I want to make sure that the station name is in there. And then you have to tell it how you want it. The default is left. In this case, I want outer, because there were some in the ends that weren't in the start, and vice versa. So if we do this, oh, that's right. Okay, sorry. Take that out for a sec. I am just matching on the ID with everything the way that it currently is. You are going to get all of these columns. So you're going to get the start station name, and then because there's two fields named num, one in each file, it gives it a suffix. So it underscores X and underscores Y. You also have the rating, the end station name. That's not really what we want. That's kind of messy. So to clean that up, I'm creating two separate data frames, just so that if something gets messed up, I can go back to the original one. So I'm just putting this into a new data frame. So starts underscore renamed. So I am renaming the columns to be more what we want. So what we want is the two station name columns to be the same, and then we want the two num columns to be different. So this is changing those. And then now if you look at, okay, so now we are going to include the station name on there, and we are going to look at what columns come through. Okay, I gotta get rid of that rating. Let's see here. Okay. I have to put it back in, don't I? Yeah, this is what I want. Okay, sorry. So this is going to save it back into the same table. Okay, so now combo columns, we have the station name, the number of starts, and the number of ends. That's exactly what we want. What is going to happen though is because in one it has a, here, let's see if it comes up this way. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Because of the difference in the station name, it was a 980. See, I forgot to do it. That iLoc. Oh, that look. Value. Okay. Oh, that's fine. There was something that was funky with the merge, and I don't remember what. I think it double counted something. 679 maybe. There we go. 978. Okay, so this was one where, okay, so in the one file, in the start file, the ID didn't have a name that went with it, but in the end file, it did have a name. So because I used both the ID and the station name to map them, it's bringing it in twice. But I believe if I only included the ID, something wasn't working right. So let's see what happens there. Maybe it was working right. Okay, well, anyway, so merge is one way to do it. I wanted to keep, actually, I wanted to keep that though, because I keep this because I want to show you then, okay, so in this case, we've got this NAN, the NAN 978. So if I wanted to, I could rename that. And you can do that again by the fill any. In this case, I guess I don't really want to change the station name. But then, okay, so then you can create new columns as calculations and formulas and all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, so this isn't the best. You can see that there's 5 columns. It doesn't show all of them. If you want to just look at maybe one row, and let's just say I want to look at first record, so I can see all of the columns. So you'll see that now you have the station name, number of starts. It still has the rating on there, the number of ends, and the difference. So, or you can look at, I guess you can go like that and look at, there's your column names. Okay, so that's one way to do it. For some reason, it wasn't working out earlier. So I found this other way, which I don't know if you guys have ever used combine first. Never heard of it until today. But it's really handy for situations like this, where in one file, I don't have the name, but in the other file, I do. You can use this function to merge. It's called combine first, and all you do is you put the first data frame, combine first, and then the second data frame. And I'm putting this into an entirely new data frame. And what it's going to do is it's going to merge everything, and it's going to take, if there's an NA value, it's going to take it from the other file, which I thought that was pretty cool. I had never heard that before. So you can see in this case, so the line that had that NA value, A978. So in the first file, it had, I probably have to go pretty far back. In the first file, it had the, okay, sorry. Let's see. Okay. It wasn't working in the combo. Yeah, it was bringing in both. So in this, you'll see that it has both. But if you look at the other way, you'll see that it's just one record because it's showing you all the values. It's just one record now, and it's pulling in the station name from the second file because it was NA in the first file, but it had it in the second file. So that was a new revelation for me, and it's pretty handy.
So basically, they should be both outer joins, but the one that works better with the second one.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can, I believe, with both of them, well, definitely with the merge, you can define inner, outer, left, and all that kind of stuff.
But you said it wasn't working, or there's a weirdness with it.
It's because of the station name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because of that, it was, yeah, because there wasn't a way of like, I don't think it was working, and if I didn't use, all right, let me try this. I want to see why it wasn't working. I think it's because it only would have one of the lines from the PD merge. So let me go back to combo. So yeah, so it's only bringing in one of the lines, and the number of ends. Oh, shoot. You couldn't see the number of ends in there. I want to say it would only bring one line, so you're not getting that second line that has like the 5 on it or whatever. So you're not getting all the data. Yeah. Whereas this one, it combines everything. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, so the weird thing about this though is that the columns for some reason came in like reverse of what I would have expected. So there's this function that you can do list reversed to basically create a list of the names in reverse. And then if you put that list of column names into the data frame, it'll reorder the data frame for you. Now it has it in the order that we want. Name, yeah, that rating, number of stars, number of ends. And then, so in this case, let's look at the tail. So in this case, why is it? Some of these, oh, probably because, let's see here. Okay, let me look at A980. So in this case, it wasn't in the start file. It was only in the end file. So it's getting a null value for the number of starts. And if I want to do a formula based off of it, null is going to cause problems. So I can use the fill NA and put that on the entire data set. And now it will show, it'll show zeros for the nulls. And it does it for every column unless you specify a particular column. So now I'm going to just do a difference just to show. And if you want, okay, so now I don't know if you can't see. Let me do this. Still isn't showing. I think there's like some setting that you have to change to get it to show everything. So let's just look at this one. Okay, so this is the one that had no starts, but 727 odds. So the difference is showing as negative. It's just arbitrary in this case. So I'm going to put absolute around it. And then, actually, let me get the last row there. And so now the difference is always going to be positive. So that's kind of, so all these slides are just basically what we talked through, the different values for adding, removing, the missing stats, merge, combine first. That's pretty much it. Do you have any questions? Do you want to try anything else out?
I'm curious, like how is there a limit on how big of a data set you can run through that? Like, are there limitations that you have found in using it in real world applications that get funky, or maybe any of you that could?
It is pretty good with like, I know that I've put in more than 1 million rows and it works just fine. It's when you get to like, if you need to do like an if statement and iterate through things, that's when it kind of gets slowed down. But it works pretty well with large data sets. And I mean, things that have crashed in Excel, I put it in here and no problem at all. Yeah. And it's really great because I think Excel has some limits. I think you can only have like 1 million rows in it. So if you need a larger data set, you can bring it in and you can combine them. And I don't think that there is an actual limit on the data frame size. I'm guessing it's just like whether it'll run or not is what your limit is. Yeah. So, any other questions? Anything else you want to see what we can do?
What's the most common use case that you just to look at totals of things, or like what is the most common way you use it?
I have used it a lot for kind of like cleaning and automating things. So it's really handy where if there's a report that you get, every week or every month, and you have to do the same activities on everything and add in like a certain row or certain column, do a certain, calculation or something like that, just having a script like this, it just makes it so much faster. And you know that it's going to be accurate rather than manually doing it every month in Excel. And, there's a lot more room for user error. I've also done it for things where it is like other automation things. I use it a lot for data science as well, but general purpose things on the last team that I used was a lot of automation. So it was like, we have 20 files that we need to do all this stuff on. How can we do this more efficiently rather than having everyone, take a week to do this? You can reference a folder and you can have it like loop through all the files in a folder, bring all of those in, merge them if they're all like with the same headers, and apply everything to them. So it's pretty powerful. I mean, it's anything you can do with Python. It's the Pandas data frame for me is just, it's so easy to equate it to Excel with the like structure. That, yeah. So, I don't know. Do you guys use it for anything in particular?
visualize a lot of this stuff too.
Yeah.
You said that you often like pull stuff in from Excel. Do you export it back out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You do it up between it a lot.
Yeah.
That's something kind of unique to some of this too. Is like not all of them play nice with Excel.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Pandas does really well with Excel. Yeah, and it's great because yeah, I'll export a file and I'll put it into Power BI and have everything automated in there for visualizations. I haven't done a ton of visualizations in Python, but there was some stuff that came up today that I was thinking about putting in, but I'm like, well, I don't really know how it would work on this data set. Do you use like MATLAB?
Seaborn is the easy one.
Okay.
Like that's very
I have
straightforward.
not used Seaborn. That would be a good presentation. I haven't used Seaborn at all. I've used Matplotlib a little bit, but yeah, that'd be a
I would
good
love to see
topic.
that.
Yeah. Visualizations in general out of
The
Python.
nice thing about it is that you can just take any of some of those things that you just ran and you put the plot suffix at the end and then it just plots it, right? So it's a pretty straightforward, especially if you've already got the script ready.
So you're using the same script, just adding that
Just add that
last
in.
piece in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So they work nicely in conjunction with each other.
But that's where you can run into issues with memory and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah. Like bar chart's fine. As soon as you go to scatter plot or anything like that, you're gonna have problems.
It'll be chaos.
Or it'll take 3 hours.
Right.
Gonna take 6 to be working.
Well, it just depends. Like yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see how that works. I mean, we don't need to do it tonight, but
I mean, we can.
we should totally
ChatGPT did give me some base code.
let's see it.
Let me see if I still have the ChatGPT thing up. I don't think I do, but I can log back in.
Anytime working code gets spit out of that thing,
You know, it's worked well for Python. It has not worked very well for DAX. So like Power BI
okay.
program.
I've been
stuff.
doing getting a lot of JavaScript out of it, and it's working pretty well.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, this was what I did. I love it. Create a downloadable presentation on learning the basics of Pandas library, and this is everything it gave me. And then I said, include the Python code. And it only did it for some of it, and then I I basically used it as a starting point.
No, that's exactly what we should be doing.
But yeah, so it had this in here, and I wasn't sure how to use it for. Would it work with this data set?
Let's see what. I think you could use it on the difference column, or if you have something, or number of. Good question.
Like font starts against end.
Yep.
Starts against end. So okay, so let's see here. My data frame is EM. What does that mean?
Above console,
There's those 4 or 5 buttons down a little bit, right there.
Oh, yeah! Look at that. Let's see. How do I get it bigger? Oh, I mean.
Wow.
And I'm sure that there's more things for access naming and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's cool. What about a bar plot? What would be good for the bar plot? Just like the difference and the frequency of the difference? Maybe? What? Stations? Station.
You have to do your ID instead because you have either the end station or the start station.
No, because in the last file, it's just one column.
Yep, that's right. Okay.
That's still going. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Ooh.
Fancy.
Read that bottom line.
Yeah. I like that it gave it colors.
Yeah. We have no idea what that means, but
No.
it looks nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so that works nicely.
Yeah. Anything else you want to play with? Here, let's see what ChatGPT says. Oh.
For different ideas for workshops.
Okay, this basically gives the same steps as it gave me for learning and just says use it on the movie data set.
Flatland or Seaborn. Those are the two.
All right. What is a cool
Pair plot.
a grid of scatter plots for each combination of variable? Well, here, let's just try this. See what happens. Put in our
Maltese.
So
so
it looks like it takes
each column column that has numbers. It looks like, and it. Oh. So you can see there's a, well, of course there's a correlation. Well, yeah, no, there's a correlation between number of starts and number of ends. No. Interesting. I love Python.
I love the combination of Python and ChatGPT.
See, I stayed away from ChatGPT for a while because I'm like, I really like coding, so I don't want to take away the like fun. But then someone explained it to me as, well, you know, when you're doing coding and you're not sure of something, you do a Google search and you check a few things. Well, ChatGPT is basically summarizing your, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm still coding, but.
Well, and you still have to think through what you want and what you need it to do.
Yeah.
And ask for the right things for that to do it.
Yeah.
On a couple of occasions, like definitely has to double check the code. Like
oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Like used it for a data visualization problem and compared it to the actual
Yeah. That's what, like, when I tried to do it for DAX code, it never worked when I put it into Power BI. It would give me an error, and then I'd put that error in ChatGPT, and it would tell me to do it a different way, and I'd get another error. And I'm like,
So it's sending you in a loop of
yeah.
errors.
But for Python, I've had good luck for the most part.
Yeah, that's the people I've talked to said Python, MicroPython, and JavaScript are kind of like the main ones that have been really good, like clean, good code coming out. The rest of them kind of you have to tweak and debug a little bit. So I mean, it's just a matter of time.
Oh yeah, I wish that I could play with Chat GPT-4 or GPT-4, whatever it's called. I tried to get into it, but you have to get on a waiting list unless you're a developer or something. Oh well. All right.
Nobody has asked me questions in the chat.
Well, hopefully this was useful to some people.
It was to me.
I mean, it was good refresher for me just to run through it with actual data. Because finding that combined first thing was pretty cool. Oh, and let's see here. I have included links in, so I'll upload this, but I've included links in here to the documentation, the Pandas documentation. If you just go to pandas.py.org, has all kinds of stuff to get started with. So there is a lot that you can do. Oh, and I also have these cheat sheets that I can send you guys. Yeah. I found a few. Transpose and melting and all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, I found 3 different ones. This one had a lot. It's got 12 pages of it. So yeah, so I can upload all this stuff to Slack, I guess.
That would be cool. And if we just started a Slack channel. So if you want to join that, it's on the meetup thing, or I can send you an invite. I'm trying to connect that way because meetup.
Nice.
Not the best.
All right. Well.
Cool. Oh, is it possible to share the presentation slides? Okay, they're asking for it in the chat. The presentation slides. Do you have that
in the chat?
If you
Can I do that?
paste it in there, I can get it and throw it over to YouTube.
How do I paste it in here? It doesn't have any way to attach a file.
Oh. Nope. Can you publish it? Does Microsoft, is it a PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Can you publish it to a link like you can with Google?
Put it in my Google Drive or something?
Well, either that or does it let you share to a link so it becomes a public?
Oh, share.
And then you can
I'm
just make
gonna
it not
say.
editable. Anybody can view. There you go. Cool.
Funny, I did that in Teams a lot at work, but I never really thought about doing it outside of Teams. I'll try to clean it up some too before I post it to Slack.
Okay.
And I'll put the script out there. I'll put the data sets out there. So, what do you guys use for Python, just in general, for your editor? What? Oh, I need to learn that. That would be a good presentation idea as well. What do you use? Okay, that I've used Jupyter. I, for whatever reason, prefer Spider, but Jupyter is a very common one. What do you guys use? Okay.
I don't.
You don't use anything for Python? You don't use Python? You lead the Pyladies
I
group.
know.
We teach in the code sports, we teach kids.
What do you teach them with?
Trinket.
Trinket? Oh.
But yeah, I don't code in Python. I'm learning it. That's why I'm here. Like, I know what it does, and I know things about
That's
it.
so fun. So powerful.
Draw things, so they draw flowers.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've really only used it for like automating things or for like data science stuff, like, regression and modeling and all that, whatever stuff. So I'd be interested in learning the other stuff that you guys do.
And this. Thank you, everybody,